When I speak to people in the UK, I often come across, or read in the papers, I come across a very odd thing where they have Scottish Nationalist Party, and I don't know how to pronounce it, Plaid Cymru, the Welsh nationalists, and yet these same so-called nationalists, they don't say anything about immigration. If anything, they support the Labour Party in bringing in immigrants, and is it just grievance that enables a generation of Vitigurns, or what is going on?
Well, the main reason behind that is that nearly 90% of the immigrants coming into the country are settling specifically in the southeast of England. Some of them are going slightly further north, but Scotland has very few immigrants. Wales has very few immigrants. So they're quite happy with the fact that England is being besieged by immigrants because we're the old enemy from centuries ago. So they have a political axe to grind against us, and they are not affected in the way that we are by the thing that they're supporting. So,
do British children, are they even taught what happened to the ancient Britons when they brought in the Anglo-Saxons and Jutes?
The English children are basically taught two things. The first is that they are guilty of oppression, imperialism and racism, and the second thing they're taught is at great amount of hours on Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. And the reason I think they do this is because if you can tell children or get it into children's heads firmly enough of how evil Adolf Hitler was, but they're not told about any other evils, and then when they say something nasty about a Muslim when they grow up and leave school, and they say that you can't call her that because you sound like a Nazi. Oh, I mustn't sound like a Nazi.
What about the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem?
Yeah,
Muslim buddies with Hitler.
Right, and the Nazi,
exactly.
And the Muslim units within the SS, as who was it?
They were recruited by the Mufti of Jerusalem.
Erwin Black, or I always forget his first name. He recently wrote a book about that. There were whole units of them.
The fact that Mein Kampf is one of the best sellers in the Middle East right now today. I mean, they are unapologetic. They want a second Holocaust.
Is Ireland experiencing the same immigration issues and cultural sort of collapse as the rest of the United Kingdom is?
Not to the same extent, but I was astonished actually, because I didn't think any Africans, for example, would go to Belfast. I wouldn't go to Belfast. It frightens the life out of me. And I read this. It actually made me very sad, to be honest, because it was a story of a Nigerian couple with two children. For some reason, they migrated here and they went to Belfast. Within 24 hours, their house had been burned down. And I thought, well, on the one hand, there won't be a big Nigerian problem in 20 years in Ireland. But on the other hand, I feel so desperately sorry for this poor couple who didn't know what they were getting into by going there in the first place. So, but no, Ireland doesn't have the same problem.
The Saudis are financing mosques in Ireland, though, so there will be mosques and there'll be more Muslims. This will be intentional. That wherever there is not a Muslim population, they will ensure that they go and they establish a base. It becomes ground zero for them.
Well, yeah, I mean, Saudi Arabia is, I'm not sure how many tens of millions, but Oxford and Cambridge University now have 10, 20 something million pounds a year coming in from Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia, I think, is $90,000 million, $90 billion.
Yeah.
It's such an astronomical figure, it's masses of noughts anyway. And they've been doing this for the last 50 years in Europe, and I think in America as well.
Yes, they are.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Do you see any hopeful possibility that if, let's say, Wilders comes to power in the Netherlands, or Le Pen in France, or someone else like that, it might produce a beneficial cascade throughout Europe?
Absolutely, yes. Yes, I think it's incredibly important that I mean, Geert Wilders is the most important politician in Europe right now, I think. And if he could get a majority in the next election, which I think is 3 years' time, I think if he could do that and he starts really enforcing what he wants to do, I think he will kickstart a lot of stuff going across Europe. And in terms of what we're doing, it's probably quite unlikely that we are ever actually going to get into power in Britain, but what we can do is we can say these things, which a normal Conservative politician can't say. We can say them, and then as we become more popular, they, being typical politicians, will start stealing our policies. Now, quite frankly, I don't care who's in power in 10 years' time, as long as it's someone doing the right thing. But yes, you're right. It's very important